And for Chad, I heard you say on the radio that yeah, you told Dale the next one's on us, brother. Do you guys approach Daytona and Talladega the rest of the season differently and try to turn around and help Stevie and Dale Jr.?
I think we take the exact same approach and just see how it shakes out at the end. Excuse me. You know, with you have to be aware as to which situation is faster, and definitely today, you know, we would have been pushing the 88 car if Dale hadn't come on the radio and said, "Hey guys, I don't think we're fast enough the way we are right now. We need the 48 in front." So, you know, if we get to Daytona and the roles are reversed, so be it. We'll follow him across the line with sparks and fire blazing.
Monty Dutton, Gaston Gazette. Jeff Gordon earlier came in and talked about the fact that, in his estimation, this has always been a 15 or 20 lap race, in his words. He said that either you can run up front or you can run in the back, but you're crazy to run in the middle, which, of course, is difficult to see how you'd have a race without someone in the middle. But what I'm saying is your methodology was different from his today, and why do you do it your way as opposed to his hanging back, and then he and Mark roared up near the front, near the end? Their timing was fine except for .0 whatever of a second. But I'm saying, why do you do it your way as opposed to theirs?
To be honest, I've tried a variety of different, pretty much every way, and have had plenty of issues take place. And today we had our Jedi senses in order. I mean, if you look at what we were up front at the right times, we rode at the right times. There were wrecks around us, in front of us. The leaders wrecked one time down the back with the 18, and that mess that took place. And we just sensed something didn't look right, and between Junior and myself and the spotters, we backed off and put some distance between us and them. There were other times where it was thinned out and we wanted to lead a lap, and we marched up there and I led a lap, and then we switched roles and marched Junior up there and got him his bonus point. So it's really just a gut feeling, and it was good working with someone all day long so that you kind of understand what they're thinking and you can work together, and before you know it, you're thinking more alike than you ever thought you would. So as a group today, that's how we decide, when we decided and how we decided to race and when to ride.
Go ahead, Don.
Jimmie, can you remember any time during the race where you weren't with Junior? I mean, was the only time that he wasn't pushing you or you pushing him is when you went down pit road to victory lane and he made the left into the garage?
Pretty much. There were a couple of restarts where we were separated, but we didn't go more than a half a lap before we found each other again. And that last restart, I was a handful of spots ahead of him on the outside, and he was on the inside. And I just went to that wall on the outside and just was waiting, and he found a way to get out of the inside lane and the next lane and to my bumper before we were at the center of 1 and 2. I don't know how that all worked out for him, but we made it happen quick and got it done. We only had 11 to go or something at that point, so we knew it was time to find each other quick.
Let's go to Stan and then over to Shannon. Go ahead, Stan.
Yeah, this is for Chad Knaus. Chad, are you guys far along enough in your knowledge to know what makes a car a better pusher or what makes a car a better pushee? And you know, because I mean, yeah, just leave it at that.
That's about the answer as well. I hate to say it. We are not. We do know in years past, before you had the restrictions that you did on your water capacity, your air inlet, things of that nature, you could begin to delegate who would be a good pusher and who would be a good car out front. For instance, you would take a car and put the car with maybe the less grilled inlet opening and the smaller radiator in the front, and the car with the bigger radiator and the larger radiator grill inlet in the back, and then he could push for a much longer period of time, and that would work out pretty well for you. Now, it's just not quite like that. NASCAR's got us in a pretty good little box there to where everybody's got pretty much the same equipment when it comes to that. So there's what it boils down to is a little bit of setup, a little bit of the body dynamics on the car, and things of that nature, the way the lead guy drafts. So I wish I could say we were smart enough to be able to do that, but we can't really anymore.
Let's go to Shannon, then we'll go over here to Paul. Go ahead.
Shannon Spake, ESPN. Just wondering, Jimmie, how much you and Dale worked together in practice on Friday, and if this was something that you knew would kind of play out once the race started.
This weekend we didn't get any chance or any time together with on the track. We had a good plan in place before practice started, and then with the weather moving in, we rolled out, and the car behind us when we left pit road was the 18, and he didn't have a teammate to work with, so we just went to work together and got a handful of laps, and that was that. But in Daytona, we waited for each other because we didn't have weather as a problem, and worked together a lot in the race until, or tried to in the race, but just didn't have the overall commitment. It was more of a, when I see you, I'll work with you thing. And then today it was, we knew what we were doing from lap 1.
Go ahead, Paul.
Jimmie, there's Paul Newberry from Associated Press. There's been a lot of, obviously, differing thoughts on this kind of tag team racing. Great finish, obviously, but maybe not the greatest racing to get to that finish. What's your thought? I mean, I know you're happy with winning the race, but what's your thoughts on this style, and does NASCAR need to do anything to kind of get the drivers away from this a little bit?
From my perspective, we were complaining with the old package, riding side by side, and there wasn't enough passes for the lead, and there's always the big wreck. Now we have a ton of passes for the lead, and statistically you look at the race and it looks pretty awesome. From a driver's standpoint, we have a lot more control now with what we can do. Yes, it is still plate racing, but we can race. You can make stuff happen, and there is a technique required to stay together and to work traffic together and to communicate, and it puts it back in the driver's hands a lot more than the old combination of racing. So I think it's entertaining. And again, I don't remember people excited about the way it was before. So I think we're evolving as teams and drivers and continuing to put on a better show. And from where I was all day long, I thought there was a lot of racing that took place. So I thought it was a great race.
Other questions down here. Bob Pockris, and then over to Al.
Bob Pockris, St. Daily. On that last lap, I mean, did you feel like you had enough time to make the move to get to the front? And do you think that most of these races will now come down to like 3 wide packs of 2 rather than maybe a guy trying to pull out from behind another and making kind of a slingshot pass for the win?
The 2 or 3 to go, Junior and I got separated, and I felt like we were in big trouble. And we got together quickly and found ourselves back in third. And at that point, I felt like we still had a shot. When I went into 3 and didn't have anywhere to go with my run, I kind of felt like I was out of moves. But then it's still such a long distance from the exit of 4 to where the finish line is here that a whole new environment or a whole new opportunity opened up for me. And I had a shot and got it done. So in my mind, I felt like I had missed my chance a couple times before the end, and it still wasn't. I was still too anxious and still too eager, worrying about the win where it didn't really need to take place instead of much later. So, and opportunities presented itself in a way that I could take advantage of it. Those guys were really side drafting hard, and I think the way this is evolving now, the lead car, unless he can get out pretty far, you can't stay there long. The 2-car tandem situation punches such a big hole in the air that if you're 20 back, you're able to pick up a draft and close quickly. So those 4 cars racing side by side punched such a big hole in the air that Junior and I were a quarter of a straightaway back, and we were able to run them down and have 2 shots at the win. So I think you will see the side-by-side racing at the finish, like we did, especially at Talladega. Daytona, a little bit more narrow. We'll probably end up crashing before we get to the finish line, but here there's enough room that we can run 4 wide.
Other questions? Al, go ahead, and then right here, this gentleman.
Yeah, Al Pierce, Modern, with either one of you guys. Following up on what Paul and Bob asked, can we now expect to not see anybody running second try to pass for the lead on the last lap? Was there any chance that Junior was going to try to pass you? Was there any chance that Mark was going to try to pass Jeff? Was there any chance that anybody was going to try to pass anybody in the last 5 or 6 laps today?
In the situation that we had today, no. If for some reason we got by those 4 cars and they were bumping and banging and slowed up and we had a gap coming into the tri-oval, absolutely Junior would have been in the perfect situation and would have been the race winner. It just didn't unfold that way. McMurray and Harvick was it the spring race last year? This race, they that whatever happened there, it worked out to be a 2-car breakaway. Kevin got around the 1 and won. So we just didn't have that today.
Right here. Go ahead, sir.
Tremendous win today, Jimmie. Question is this. You guys were very controlled, everybody behaving themselves out there this afternoon. My question is, as you do more of this tandem drafting and as you become more familiar with it, will drivers take more chances out on the speedway?
Yeah, we're all getting wiser, and I don't know.
He calls it wiser.
It seems like it. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I can work up an answer to on both sides of it. I felt like today there was a lot of control from the drivers. We gave each other enough room. We had respect for guys that had big runs coming. Daytona, there's less room, so it's a little tighter and a bit more of an issue. But today, guys were real respectful and smart. I don't know what caused a couple of the wrecks, but we didn't have big pileups like we typically see.
Any further questions for Jimmie or Chad? Bob?
Jimmie, can you just talk about getting a win this year and what it means for you?
Yeah, we've been knocking on the door. We had Bristol, Martinsville, and California, and wasn't able to get it done. Variety of little situations that popped up. And I've always said it, when you're running the top 5, you're going to have your opportunities. And today we did that. We had certainly a top 5 car, if not the fastest car. And opportunity presented itself. We got the job done.
Jimmie, Chad. Oh, wait. Shannon has another one.
It really kind of depends on who you talk to. Some drivers are saying that it was a lot of fun out there, and others, of course, saying that it was, something completely different than they've ever experienced. How would you describe the race out there today?
Sounds like a plate race to me. The guys that run well are happy, and the guys that are crashed and don't run well are mad. It is different. In some ways I thought it was cool to see, I don't even know who's in the 32, but the 32 and the 71 were up there, running in the top 5. It's good for those teams. There is some technique required now. Instead of just running wide open all the time and just sitting there in a guy's tire tracks, now there's some work required and some skill. So I think that this racing is fun. And certainly easy for me to say because I won. If I was crashed, I'd probably be bitching and moaning. But it was a good day. I think the racing was good. When you have this many lead changes for a Cup race, that's a good thing.
Jimmie, Chad, congratulations. Enjoy the win. Happy Easter.
Thank you.